I have a comment on that video. I so understand why the black church is empty. Now, before I start, I just want to make a note to say that the reason why we use the term black church is because that's what black folks usually do. Black folks have separated themselves from society. And so when we deal with the church, although the church is the body of Christ, and I'm mentioning this because there was a young man that made a comment trying to break down why it should not be referred to as black church, which is, to me, basic information. I'm fully aware, but I speak the language of the people. So when you hear people use the term black church, I'm going to respond with black church because they're saying that there's a particular group of people, primarily the so-called black community, that they're referring to. They're not referring to Asians. They're not referring to Europeans. They're not referring to Arabs or what have you, but they're talking about the so-called black community, the churches that's in the black community. So that's why I use the term black church. Now, to get on with this comment, a person commented on that video and said, I noticed within your diatribe that you've not mentioned all these Creflo dollar preachers. Why not? Well, simply because of the fact that they don't make up the entire black church, or they're not the leaders of the so-called black church. And when I speak of leaders, they're leaders in isolated areas. I've never been to Creflo Dollar's church, so I really have no idea of what goes on in their church apart from what I see on television. I've never donated money to these churches, so I have not enriched these mega church preachers' pockets. I have not enriched their households, so that does not apply to me. But you have to keep in mind, it's these group of people that's enabling them to do what they do. I don't donate my dollars. You didn't donate your dollars. And I'm sure that there's people out there that's upset with the church because of the fact that they submitted themselves to those ministries. They decided to give their money, their last, and even their mortgage money. They've decided to do that. Okay, so these are personal choices that people make on their own. Now, if later on they feel that they've been ripped off, that's got nothing to do with the church, but it has a lot to do with the fact that you allowed someone to scam you. Just like all of these scammers on YouTube. Now, you have people that have scammed the church, black folk that scam the so-called black church. They put down the preacher. They referred to him as pimps in the pulpit. They always talked about his lavish lifestyle. And the people that talk about the preacher's lavish lifestyle the most are the people that have never contributed to the church. Why are you so concerned about the church's lavish lifestyle or the preacher's lavish lifestyle if you yourself have not contributed any money? Now, you may use your family member and say, well, my mother or my grandmother or my great-grandfather, they gave money, but they made the choice and decision to give that. They felt comfortable giving that, although maybe you haven't. So if you're not in the church, if you don't believe in the Bible, then why are you so concerned about what the church is doing and what the church does with its money? That people make the conscious choice and decision to donate. So I don't mention Creflo Dollar or people like Creflo Dollar because it has nothing to do with me. All right? And I've never been one to sit back and point fingers at preachers, at individual preachers that live in different parts of the United States or even the world. That's their gig. But one thing I do know is that the Bible warns us against people like that. So that's why I don't mention it. And if I do mention it, I'm telling you that the Bible says, woe unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my flock. I quote scriptures like, that about the wolves in sheep clothing. On outwardly they look good, but inside they're full of dead men's bones. I've talked about preachers like that. But even though I spoke on preachers like that, people are still going to put preachers down and say, why are you following the Christian faith? Which in many times I mentioned over and over and over again, I am not a Christian. I don't refer to or subscribe to Christianity. And those that are spiritual should understand that. You should understand where I'm coming from. Just because I read from or I believe in a Bible that the Christian church uses does not mean that I'm a Christian. Or just because I attend a church does not mean. There's a lot of people that attend churches that don't consider themselves a Christian. And if you claim you have knowledge, you should understand where I'm coming from. You should know the difference between being a Christian and being a child of the Most High, or being spiritual. So I don't mention these Creflo Dollars because it's not my business. It has nothing to do with me. And it has nothing to do with you if you don't attend these churches and if you have not donated your money. Again, why are people that don't give are more concerned about the person that's receiving from people that decided to give? That's not your business. Don't be a busybody in other people's affairs. And that's something that I'm not. So if I don't mention Creflo Dollar, that's because I don't bash them. There's no need for me to point fingers and bash them and fault them for my actions or my lack of actions. It says it's these pastors that has caused this breaking away and not the congregation going in the wrong direction as you insinuate. Why is it all these Creflo Dollar preachers appear to live a very lavish lifestyle? Why are you concerned about that? And why don't you talk about the drug dealers? Why don't you talk about these so-called psychics, even on YouTube, that's telling you to send them money and they'll tell you your future? They're telling you that they are able to access your Akashic records. They're able to tell you things that existed before you were even born, and you believe that crap. But yet I don't hear none of you talking about them that tell you that they can read your tarot cards and you paying them money to read tarot cards. Now, if you're so concerned or you want to know your future and you believe in those cards, you can actually learn how to do the cards yourself. You can do your own cards. But yet you allow these witches and these warlocks to draw you in and pull you away from the Most High. So I have a question to all of these so-called black folks that decided to leave the church, that have now become the enemy of the church. You've become the enemy of the Most High. You're the enemy of the Bible, although many of y'all use the Bible. Yes, I said y'all. Many of y'all use the Bible to cast spells. So apparently the Bible's got some type of power that you go to the Psalms and you use different pieces of the Bible or the scriptures to cast spells on people. So how is it that you don't believe in this book, but you only believe in it when you want to cast spells on someone? See, so it's mind-blowing to me that you have all these people that's against the church, that's against the preacher, that's enemy of preacher, that's enemy of church, but yet at the same time you claim not to believe in it, but you're constantly in the church's business. Let me ask you guys a question. Since you stopped believing the church, since you left the church, because there's countless videos on YouTube of people that say, I used to be a pastor, I used to be a Christian, I used to be a preacher. Okay, now, since you're no longer a preacher, you've left that slave master's religion. Let me ask you a question. Have your life changed since you had waken up, as you say? Have your life changed since you let the church go? Since you stopped going to church? Since you stopped donating your money? Since you stopped believing in the Bible or even believing in the Most High? How have your life changed? Have that lifted you out of the condition that you were in? Have that helped black people? Because all I see is these same black folk that claim to have once been Christians, as you say, are now talking about Akashic records and spirit guides and reading tarot cards and I'm able to tell you your future. So have your life changed? And if black people have woken up, stopped going to church, and let me show you something. Since black folks stopped going to church, since black people allegedly had waken up, and now they're bashing churches, they bashing preachers, they bashing the Bible, they bashing the Creator. Now they're transgender. They're more lesbians and homosexuals now. Don't know what you are, right? Abortion has gone beyond abortion and now is late-term abortion and post-abortion. Black people are supporting that, right? So now we have more blacks are still being killed. They're still fighting hard for the Democrat Party and still on the bottom, even after they told you. You supported them. You've been like a faithful follower to the Democrat Party, and they just told you, even the so-called black leaders told you that you are not getting no reparations. So where have your life changed? Do you feel better about yourself? We find more black females and now black males that's prostituting themselves. It's sad when you have a so-called man that's supposed to lead a family that's out there prostituting his body for money. We see paternity court and you see the majority of people on paternity court are black females. Illicit sex. The same thing you accusing the church of doing, you do. So now you're on paternity court because you have 7 kids by different dudes and you have no idea who the child's father is. Black Lives Matter. I just read an article where they had these dudes, man, a lot of these dudes that was protesting, they all ended up dead. And I'll end up doing video. I'm going to do a video about that too, because that's interesting to me. So I just want to know, since you've left the church, since you are now no longer a so-called Christian, since you no longer believe in the white man's religion or the Bible, have your life changed? Have the black community became financially independent now? Did that bring the black family closer together? So now who are you pointing your fingers at to blame for your lack of? Who are you pointing your fingers at now to blame for why you're not able to rise in this life? So now you want to fault everybody but yourself. You can't see your own deeds. And a lot of people became hostile and angry over that last video I did about the church. You now became hostile. You thumbed that video down because it's dealing with your life, the mess that you made for yourself. And that's why you find more black people now dying of sickness and disease, things that I've never heard of coming up. Now you can blame that on the fact that social media now exists and more people now get to see it, but these are things that we just have not heard of growing up. And I have family in southern states, I have family in Philly, I have family in Jersey, I have family in Georgia and Florida, right? And we all can say the same thing, like, well, we've never heard this before. So how have your life bettered since you let go of the church? Now, a lot of y'all may lie because you're under a fictitious account. You don't have no face, no video. So people really can't validate what you say. See, my face is on the internet. So, and my next door neighbor see my videos. I remember when he moved next door, I'm coming in the house and he yells out, "Fearless!" And I'm like, oh snap, who's this? Right? Yo man, I enjoy your videos. I could be in the supermarket and people, white and black, will recognize me from being on YouTube because they see my face. I don't have to hide. But see, if I say something, you have people that live in my area will say, well, no, that's not you, you're lying. And they can make videos and show what you guys call receipts to show that I'm lying. But what I talk about, I back up. I live what I speak. I have family members that watch my videos, right? So they can back up what I say. But you can get on here and you can comment and talk about, especially black dudes, right? Oh, I've been with my family, my kids grew up in 2-family homes, and I do this and I do that, I do this. And you have no photos, no videos, no nothing to show who you are. So you can't really validate that. See? So have your life changed for the better since you've let go of Christianity? Since you no longer believe in God, and if you no longer believe in God or Christianity, why are you on my video? Why are you still concerned and angry? And see, that's the thing about it. These people are angry. I can talk about sodomy, I can talk about transgenderism, I can talk about selling drugs, I can talk about everything, free food from the government, everything free. And black people are on the bandwagon. How have you not being a part of the church bettered your relationship with the opposite sex? You have so-called black men that hate black women, and black women hate black men. And then your children are out of control. So how have, and I noticed that when black people were in church growing up in my era, families were together. Families went to church together, they prayed together, they ate together at the same table. There were more black people that were graduating from high school. There were more black businesses or people trying to start black businesses. Now everybody's dependent upon the welfare, following this socialist agenda, because they want everything to be given to them for free. Nobody wants to take responsibility for their own life or their own actions. So I don't mention Creflo Dollar because it has nothing to do with me. I think I might have made one video, maybe 1 or 2 videos, because it was an article that I read and I spoke on that. But other than that, I don't speak about these guys, man, because it's got nothing to do with me. Why would I be a busybody in other people's affairs? So it says, when many in their congregations are struggling to get by financially, but the preacher, according to you, is living a lavish lifestyle. So if they're struggling financially and they give up their money to the preacher to live a lavish lifestyle, whose fault is that? Now, I like going to the casino. I don't really gamble. I don't do tables. I don't do all that other stuff. But I love slot machines. To me, the casino is like a grown person's arcade. Remember, there was when all the arcades, and we went to arcades and stuff like that. You know, I don't see too many arcades nowadays. They got the casinos. So that's a grown person's arcade. But my bills, when I go to the casino, all my bills are paid. I have no car payment because my car is paid up. But all my bills are paid. All my bills, I pay them. I pay my bills way in advance. So when I go to the casino, I'm not spending my bill money. Or if I choose to donate anywhere, even the church, I can give that money. Right? I'm not giving my mortgages money to the church. That's foolishness. A person that does that is not thinking clear. They're tricked into believing that if you give your mortgage money, God is going to bless you in return. That's a scam. And think of the number of black people that was scammed on the internet by the Sonettas, by the Boyce Watkins, by the what's the one dude name? I see his face in my head now. Polites, you know, the Hassan Campbells, the Kev Gills. They're scamming you because they're telling you what you want to hear. All they have to do to scam black people is talk about each other, trash each other. Look at Nature Boy. This dude leaves and go into the jungles, the alleged jungle, because he's living in a pretty nice place, it looks like it. And black people are supporting him. They're donating money. While they in turn talk about you and how they left Babylon, want nothing to do with Babylon. But yet they're begging for your Babylon dollars. That's like black people saying, you know, F the police, F the white man. I don't need the white man's education, but yet you want me to donate my white man's money to you. See, now I'm working a white man's job, for example, and now I get paid. I'm working all these hours, and then at the end of when it's time for me to get paid, now you want me to donate my white man's money to you. Or like a video I watched, and it's on my WordPress page, and I was going to do a video on this, about the white chick, the racist white chick, that was in, I think it was Walmart, calling the dude out of his name, a racial name, and dude didn't do nothing. He pretended like he was going at her, but the girlfriend was like, you know, stop, don't go. Now, the wife was protecting the white female against him, and she spit at him. And the first thing I heard the dude say on the video was, call the police. But he's probably one of the main ones to say F the police. It's like black people speaking against the church. Oh, you speak against the church, but when a relative dies, your mom, your dad, or whoever, who do you go to and expect, and then get mad if the churches refuse to bury you because you're not a member? Or you don't have a family member that's a member? Or you have a family member that was a member and got mad and left, bashed the church, and now you want to say, well, my grandmother was a member for so many years, and now they don't want to bury her. Or they charge you because a workman is worthy of his hire. Nothing is free in this world. So you bash the church all your life, and now you want the church to do a favor for you. You expect the church to be the welfare system. That's not what the church was set up to do. The church was not set up to take care of the world. But yet that's your twisted thinking because you don't want to go to work and work for yourself. And if you pay tithe and offering, and if your car happened to break down, that's not like you can go to the church and say, could you pay to get my car fixed? That's not why you pay tithe and offering. You thinking that's some type of bank account. If you feel that you might as well just put money aside in a bank account somewhere, so much money out of the week, and then if your car breaks down, you get it fixed. Or put the money aside, and if your house burned down, if you need food, if you put money aside, you'll have it. You ain't got to worry about the church taking care of you if you go without food. That's not the church's duty or responsibility. That's why you pay your tax dollars. So you want to double dip from the welfare system and the church. See, you want to blame everybody for your lack of. So again, my question is, how is your life better now that you let the church go? Morally speaking, because I know y'all gonna lie and say, oh, my life is great. I'm a lot happier. I ain't got to pay my money. I ain't got, and like this one person mentioned in a comment, talking about, I ain't got to worry about my daughters. You know, the preacher trying to talk to my daughters or my wife, or I ain't got to worry about giving my money. I never had to worry about that either. Because as a man, if I choose to go to a church, number one, my presence, just my presence, and this just does not go for the church. This is in and outside of the church, regardless of where I am, where I exist, or where they may be. My presence alone is enough to deter that type of behavior. Just my presence. Because by me being there with my family, if I had daughters, or better yet, I can use my granddaughter. Like if I'm with my granddaughter, we ain't gonna, that's his daughter. That's his granddaughter. And then you have people that would warn. Just say if someone do have that thought in their mind, there's people that know me or know of me that would warn that person, that's his granddaughter. Don't bother. You don't want to mess with that. Right? So just my presence alone is enough to deter that. So I don't have to worry about not going to a church because I fear. As a man, I call myself a man, but yet I fear as a man that some preacher is going to touch my child, my son or my daughter, or some preacher is going to try to talk to my wife, or some preacher is going to take my money. What type of man would I be to have that type of fear in my heart to keep me from having to go to church because I fear this is what would happen if I take my family to go to a church? It sounds like the issue is not the preacher. The problem is you. Because you're not man enough to stand up and defend your family. You're too much of a coward to stand up and defend your family, but yet you call yourself a man. I can see why black women have no respect for a lot of these black dudes, man, because these dudes are cowards. Black women are not protected because cowards are leading them. They choose cowards to produce children with. So now this dude comments a video and say, because I don't have to worry about the preacher touching my daughters or looking at my daughter, and I don't have to worry about the preacher taking my money. Do you realize how you sound? And you call yourself a man? You call yourself a man and you fear another man touching your daughters. You fear being in a position where you can't protect them. And I know that could be fearful for any man, being in a position where they can't protect their children or their family. And that's why, as a man, As the Bible says, you love your wife and be willing to give yourself for her. So if you happen to be in a position where you have to defend your family, you're willing to give your life, regardless of who it is. I don't care if it's a preacher. I don't care if it's the police, because black dudes are fearful of police or the white man. They're fearful. They're cowards. And I know I digressed and whatnot, but it's the way it is. You know, it's like you constantly attacking the church. You're making countless videos of why you don't go to church. Nobody cares. The only people that really care about what you talk about when you speak against the church or the Bible or what have you are the weak people that's like yourself, that need an excuse to not be responsible for your own actions. So it says, when many in their congregations are struggling to get by financially, I think, and now check this person out. Now this is as you see, this is a troll. They have no pictures, no video, but they're gonna tell me what they think I need to do, right? I think you need to address this fact. Well, you know what? Donate to my channel, and maybe I might address this fact. Well, although I give you a freebie, this is a freebie now, okay? Because I'm speaking on this, and I didn't see this earlier. If I had seen this earlier, maybe I wouldn't have done this video, right? But I'm gonna give you a freebie since you like free stuff. Since black folk like free stuff, you know, and you should leave an offering. Click on the link on the bottom and leave an offering. You know, because black people, you know, anyway, it says, I think you need to address this fact, and it is a fact, not a conjecture. Now, present your facts, man. You hadn't presented nothing. Make a video, show your face, present your facts. Oh, wait a minute, they're facts only because you say they facts. And then it says, I, for one, feel spiritually liberated since leaving the church. And for your information, I still read my Bible. So then why are you commenting this video? Why do you read the Bible? And if you feel spiritually liberating, then again, since you're so spiritually liberated, I'm sure that you're perfect now. I'm sure that you make no mistakes. I'm sure that you have no sins now because you feel you're liberated now. So when I look at liberation, when I look at somebody that says that they are spiritually liberated, I look at a person that have no restrictions. They have no rules to live by. They're free to do whatever they want to do. They're free to think whatever they want to think. So if they choose to be a transgender, they can do that without fearing going to hell. If they want to abort their baby or murder their baby or sexually molest their child, they can do that spiritually because there's no repercussions. But yet when it comes to the law of the land, they fear going to jail. I'd rather be in prison in this world than have to deal with hellfire for eternity. So you're spiritually liberated. You're able to do any and everything you want to do, and just because you read the Bible don't make you righteous. Just because you read the Bible does not mean that you are righteous. It does not mean that you are reading yourself into paradise. Because there's many people that have left this world that were crooks, and there was always somebody to talk about how good they were. They were a great person, and I know that they are in heaven somewhere. Well, how do you know that? What are you basing that on? The Most High says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways or your ways. He said his thoughts are higher than your ways and your thoughts. So how do you know that? So I just wanted to present this comment to you. It's interesting to me how so-called black people think, and they feel that their liberation is leaving the church. So if you're so spiritually liberated, why are you still on this video? Why are you still talking about, it sounds like you have some type of post-traumatic stress. Something bad happened to you in the church. Or are you just following the crowd? Or is it that you just want to do what you want to do without any type of repercussions? So yeah, now you may feel spiritually liberated, but where's your life? How's your life going? Because there's a balance when it comes to spirituality and gross matter, right? There has to be a balance. First natural, then spiritual. There has to be a balance. You can't be 95% spiritual and only 5% natural. You wouldn't be existing now. Or you would be locked up in a mental ward somewhere, because your head is so far in the spirit that you can't function here on earth. And maybe that's why we have so many people that have psychological issues, because they're more spiritual than natural, right? Either or. And spiritual don't mean that you're righteous. Spirituality just means that you're dealing with the unseen realm. So spirituality could also be dealing with the dark side. So there's more people that's more spiritually darkness or obtain spiritual darkness than they do light. And we see that by the fruits of their labors, by the fruits of their spirit, which is darkness. So because you're spiritually liberated don't mean that you're righteous. And just because you read the Bible don't mean that you are going to paradise, or that you're living according to that Bible. You just read it. You're Bible readers. So feedback, tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm fearless.